up guys, I'm Major Man, and in today's video we're gonna be reacting to Geography Now Mexico. Yeah, I said it, Geography Now Mexico. Mexico, the place that apparently everyone thinks I'm from. Apparently I'm just Spanish and Mexican and basically South American really. I don't know why, but okay. Anyways, looking forward to this episode. There's a lot that I don't know about Mexico, besides the fact that it's just this image I have that is a bit corrupt, and that's pretty much it. But I'm absolutely certain that's just how the news portrays it and whatnot, and that's the only reason that I've only heard bad things about it. But I know the culture and the livelihood of the people living there is gonna be beautiful. Geography Now is gonna go through all of it, so I'm just gonna get started. But if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. It would mean the world to me, and if just so that other people can watch my videos as well. Try to, grow my content, Without further ado, let's go!
Finalmente hemos llegado al episodio de México, pero no puedo hacer esto sin un mexicano de verdad. Denle la bienvenida a mi amigo César de Puerto Vallarta.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos.
Hola, Puerto Vallarta.
Decir una cosa de México para abrir este episodio, ¿cuál sería?
Pues México es un país místico, colorido, lleno de cultura y tradiciones. México va mucho más allá que el mariachi y el tequila solamente. Pronto les contamos.
Bueno. Oh, yeah, and he speaks English too.
Oh, yeah, I went to college in Texas, so a little bit.
Oh yeah, so just speaking Spanish because it's a Mexican episode.
Everyone, I'm your host Barbs.
And I'm Cesar.
As you
I like
know,
when they
I'm
speak a
American,
different
Cesar's
language.
Mexican. We're neighbors. I'm excited. You excited?
Yes, I'm very excited for this episode.
Oh, the neighbors,
I've
cool.
been following Geography Now since like the BC countries, so this is something I've been waiting for a long time now.
Oh, by the way, we stopped doing sponsored brands on country episodes, but this time we'll break that rule because Cesar can hook you up in Puerto Vallarta. Cesar, tell them what they need to know.
Yes, well, visit discoverpvr.com. Check it out. Tours, transportation, transfers, everything you need.
And Geography Now endorses them. All right, comenzamos.
Sí, bienvenidos a México.
Let's go. Let's learn about
Named after
Mexico.
the Mexica
Oh, we're
people
starting
from
with
ancient
political
Aztec
geography.
times.
Come
Mexico
on.
is a powerhouse on the world stage.
And it's
Mexica.
hard to imagine how the entire Latin world, let alone the Western Hemisphere, would operate without it. First of all, Mexico is located on the southern part of the North American continent,
serious? I didn't know
straddling
that.
the Pacific Ocean, Gulf of California, and the Gulf of Mexico,
next to it?
bordered by the U.S. to the north,
okay.
and Guatemala and Belize to the southeast.
The
Okay, I
country
knew that.
is
Yes,
divided
no,
into 32
Guatemala.
federal
And Panama, I think,
entities, 31
as well.
states, one of which is called Mexico, and the
31,
capital
fair
city,
play.
Mexico City. Oh, and Mexico City is technically
Mexico
sinking about
City.
10 to 20 centimeters a year because it was built on.
Sinking?
Anyway, with a greater metropolitan population over
I just saw
21
sea levels
million,
were
Mexico
rising,
City
so that's
is the
why.
largest city and oldest
Built
capital
upon
city in
lake.
the entire Western Hemisphere, and in itself has about the same GDP and economy as the entire country of Peru.
After Mexico City,
No
the next
way.
largest cities are Guadalajara in Jalisco and Monterrey in Nuevo León. And if you come here, you will most likely fly to one of the busiest airports.
The capital's Mexico City International, then the second place is actually Cancun, then Guadalajara and Monterrey Internationals. Yeah, we Americans love Cancun and we love going there all the time.
And we do too.
Why is he
Just
counting money?
clean up your vomit next time, okay?
No promises. Today, Mexico has no territorial disputes.
Well,
They
mate,
did once with
is that
France
inside
over
joke?
Clipperton Island, but that got settled. Otherwise, the border with the U.S., yeah, we know what you're thinking, but hear me out. It actually does have some quirky anomalies.
For example, on the border with Tijuana, there's a friendship park where you can chat and shake hands with locals of both sides through a
Serious?
fence that goes all the way into the Pacific.
Further east in California, two towns split by the border kind of trolled each other. One named itself Mexicali, and the other side Calexico.
And in Naco, Arizona, the local residents have a cross-border volleyball game every so often.
No, we don't want to
way.
sugarcoat everything. Yes, there are certain sections that are more barricaded and strict on the crossings, but besides the complicated nature behind these issues, there's a lot more to it than most media outlets portray.
That's amazing. I love the
Speaking
way
of
that they
territorial
actually
anomalies,
showed you about
In
the
the
boundaries
southernmost
like
state
that.
of
Like, I knew that
Mexico,
it was
Chiapas has some
big
interesting
boundary, but I
towns that
didn't know
operate under a system called
about that.
usos y costumbres, which means something like autonomous customary law. The people, mostly of indigenous descent, govern their own internal affairs, and the government just kind of lets them do their own thing without interference. It sounds kind of scary, but But today, it's actually kind of a dark fascination that has drawn in a ton of tourists.
And finally, let's just get it over with. Just like how we discussed in the Italy episode, everybody knows about it. It's nothing new. To a varying degree of power and disputable boundaries, yes, certain areas of Mexico do still kind of fall under cartel influence. It's a very strange system run by underground individuals that kind of meshes itself into normalcy with everyday citizens.
There are syndicates like the Cartel of Sinaloa in the northwest, the Zetas in the northeast, the Familia Michoacana in the center of the country, and the Jalisco Nueva Generación in the west.
Caesar, I'll let you explain this.
Today, it's very hard to estimate how many people are still involved and how much money is coming out, since numbers are always changing, especially after the war was declared on the cartels by the government in 2006 by President Calderon. But for what it's worth, the situation is still being dealt with.
I wonder how that was
Most
going.
Mexicans can agree that this operation largely failed. A large portion of the violence in Mexico is still caused by disputes between cartels for territory.
Thank you, Caesar. Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way because now we can lighten up a bit and talk about the almost infinite number of beautiful, notable spots Mexico has to offer. Some cool man-made landmarks might include places like
The Basilica de Guadalupe in Mexico City,
UNAM,
Yeah.
the oldest university in North America,
the Castle of
Oh,
Chapultepec,
the catacombs at Templo Expiatorio,
Hey, that's
Biblioteca
nice.
Vasconcelos,
the tunnels of Puebla,
Look at that
the
library.
Plaza de Toros Mexico,
the bronze sculptures of
That's
Puerto
like
Vallarta,
Colosseum,
and if you're in
that.
for some creepy stuff,
the Casa de los Lamentos in Guanajuato,
Torture Museum of
Castle of
Hacienda del
León.
Cochero,
the Mummy Museum in
Whoa,
Guanajuato.
what's
that
going on
creepy
there?
doll island
Okay,
of Las
that's a
Muñecas,
bit
And every
scary.
so often, you might come across a Malverde altar. He's the patron saint of drug cartels.
They have a patron saint for
No
drug
way.
cartels. But best for last, there are hundreds of Mesoamerican pyramids and sites. Some are possibly yet to be discovered hidden in the jungles, but the most famous ones probably being
Cholula, which is the largest monument ever constructed according to the Guinness World Records.
Monte Alban,
No way.
Teotihuacan, the Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon.
and one of the new 7 wonders of the world, the
Oh,
Mayan pyramid
snap.
of Chichen Itza. Keep in mind, we
Yeah,
said
the Mayans
man-made. I
were
know
there.
a lot of you might be wondering, why didn't they talk about all the cool natural sites like the cenotes, cenotes, or the volcanoes and canyons? Well, that's because that stuff will belong in the next section, the
Physical geography!
Mexico's land is kind of like a piñata, colorful
A piñata?
and full
What?
of
What?
surprises.
Dude, a
might know
piñata?
the
You really
guys.
rushed this part of the script,
Confused.
didn't you?
Yes, I did. First of all, the country is located on the west edge where the North American plate meets the Pacific plate, making them part of the larger Ring of Fire.
The country is made up of
Yeah.
3 main mountain chains. The Sierra Madre Occidental, which has the largest lake, the Lake of Chapala in Jalisco. The Sierra Madre Oriental, which has the highest mountain peak, or Pico de Orizaba. And Sierra Madre del Sur, which effectively surrounds the large Mexican plateau in the middle.
A narrow flat valley lies between the Chiapas Mountains, which then swings up to the flat, humid Yucatan to the southeast. Oh yeah, and don't forget the arid Baja Peninsula to the west.
At the bottom of the plateau lies the Trans-Mexican Volcanic
The
Belt,
Baja
where most of the
Peninsula? What's going on
seismic
there?
and volcanic activity lies. The country has about 44 volcanoes. The most violent one is considered to be the Popocatépetl, which is less than 70 kilometers away from
Why
Mexico
this
City.
one? What,
There's
does it go
also
on
the
parties
world's
all the time?
smallest volcano, Cuexcomate, in Puebla, at only 13 meters tall.
Aw, what a cute little force
What?
of destruction.
Oh, that's nothing. The volcano once randomly erupted out of a dude's farm in 1943 in Michoacan. It grew over 1,000
No
feet
way.
tall.
Whoa! The Rio Grande River, which makes part of the border shared with Texas, is the country's longest river. However, the longest non-shared river
Volcanoes are
in
random.
Mexico would be the Nazas Agua Naval.
Along the coast are flatter green plains.
Basically, the north part is rockier and drier with landmarks like the Barrancas del Cobre Canyon and the Sonoma Desert with the massive crater-pocketed Tecolote lava fields, whereas the south part is humid and lush with biosphere reserves and rainforests harboring
What?
thousands of animal species.
I just
Speaking
imagine
of
Mexico
which,
as
ranks as
dry
the
and
fourth most
desert.
biodiverse country
that's
in
the
the
kind
planet,
of,
10 to 12% of
uh,
the world's biodiversity.
Perception I
Oh,
had.
and bugs. There's a monarch butterfly sanctuary at Pátzcuaro.
And
No
the Firefly
way.
Forest in Tlaxcala, as well as the national
Yo,
animal,
the
the
fireflies
golden
are cool.
eagle, and the most iconic dog breed, the Chihuahua, the smallest dog in the world, and the nearly hairless Choloscuincle, or Cholo
Nearly
dog.
hairless.
Remember we saw those dogs when I visited you, Caesar, and then yeah, that was like my second favorite part of the whole trip.
And what was your first favorite part?
The part where you introduced introduced Esclava to me. And then remember I got a little tipsy and then we played poker and then I won and then I almost fell down and... It's funny though because Mexico also has a ton of like secret hidden natural land formations. There's that strange 153-kilometer long underground river in the Yucatan.
The Sótano de las Golondrinas in San Luis Potosí, which is the largest cave shaft in the world.
The giant
Sixth
crystals
deepest
and caves
abyss
of
in the
Nanga.
world.
There's
Wow.
even the Islas Marietas, which has a hidden
What?
beach inside a hole in the island.
You almost brought me there, but we couldn't go in.
Yeah, unfortunately, the weather conditions didn't permit it, but still, visit discoverpbr.com.
Yeah, I'll come back and visit someday.
Wait, can I come?
Yeah, sure. Catch.
What are these, goggles?
Yeah, you can swim there from Long Beach.
Resource-wise, Mexico is the world's largest producer of avocados, silver,
They introduced tons of new foods that would make their way across the globe, namely the big four: corn, chiles, chocolate, and tomatoes.
We would not have pizza if it wasn't for Mexico. Let that sink in.
Oh, and dear
No
Mexico, thank you for
way.
inventing tajin and chamoy. My life was empty before this discovery.
Food-wise, there's too much to cover, but generally speaking, there are 7 regions of cuisine. In the Yucatan Peninsula,
7
they love the
regions?
anato seeds. They have Mayan
What's
dishes
going on
like
there?
bokchuk. In the south, the tlayudas are very popular, and the chapulines.
Remember, Ken, we tried those and they were good, right?
I'm sorry, what?
You're
This
fired.
cockroaches.
In the Baja
What?
California, there are plenty of fish dishes and other seafood. The Bajío is very popular for their guacamayas. In the north, they love cabrito is very popular in Monterrey, and they also have a big Tex-Mex influence. In the west, we eat pozole, birria, and we also invented tequila. In the center of Mexico, there's a lot of
You seem
tortas,
so proud of
mole,
that.
and chile poblano. Economy-wise, Mexico is the 15th largest in the world in nominal terms, and 11th by
15th.
purchasing power.
And they are busy. The World Trade Organization and OECD has ranked Mexico as the hardest working country in the world. On average, they work over 43 hours a week.
That's it? Dude, that actually seems pretty low, to be honest.
Main exports of the country include things like automobiles, electronics. They are the largest flat screen television exporter in the world as of 2017.
See, these guys
We
are
covered a lot. Okay, I
rockets.
think that's most of it. Landscape, animals, resources, food, economy. Okay, yeah.
Should we talk about Mexican people now?
Yeah, why not? Next section, go.
You know, it's kind of
The
complicated because
demographics.
there's
Whoa.
3 different kinds of titles for Mexican. First of all, you have the Mexicano, which means it's a person from Mexico. The Mexiquense is a person from the state of Mexico. And the Mexiqueño,
Right.
or as we call them, Chilangos, is a person from the capital, Mexico City.
So yeah, take note on that. First of all, the country is made up of
So
about
3 types of people. All right, fair
124
enough.
million people and is the largest
104,
Spanish-speaking
that's quite a
country
lot.
and largest economy in the
Largest
Latin world.
Spanish.
It's a little difficult to get
Even more than
exact
Spain,
numbers
that's a
because there
bit.
are a lot of opinions on race in Mexico, and the official census does not technically collect data on ethnicity. But overall, it is said that somewhere around 2/3 of the country identifies as Mexican mestizo. About 21% identify as predominantly Amerindian, whereas 7% identify
way.
as straight up Amerindian. The remainder is made up of other groups, mostly white European Mexicans, while a small group of Asians like Lebanese, Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans exist, alongside Afro-Mexicans, which make up about 1.2% of the population.
We use the Mexican peso as our currency, and we use type A and B American-style plug outlets, and we drive on the right side of the road.
Oh,
All
fair
the
enough.
country speaks Spanish. However, technically, it isn't an official language. The country recognizes 68 other indigenous languages.
These tribes each have
68
their own unique
indigenous
story and history
languages.
that goes back thousands of years before colonialism, as depicted by petroglyphs, codexes, and Mesoamerican carvings.
They had unique traits and traditions. The Aztecs were known for having a thriving economy, yet had brutal human sacrifice rituals.
The Mayans were really good at math and had a unique system of seeing time in an endless cycle pattern rather than linear. And today, tribes still go on carrying ancient traditions, everything from the Raramuri,
No way,
or
serious? I didn't know that.
known as the running tribe, who can go over 200 miles in 2 days with sandals.
The Voladores de Papantla,
No
upside
way.
down, hanging, spinning musicians of various central tribes like the Otomís. There's even indigenous festivals held every year in Oaxaca called Guelaguetza.
At around
What?
82%, the majority of the country identifies as belonging to the Catholic faith, and Catholicism plays a huge and slightly interesting fusion role in Mexican society.
Catholicism in Mexico is unique because it has kind of its own story. Every Mexican knows about the Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe church. It all started by a vision of the Virgin Mary from this guy.
Today, native tradition and Catholicism kind of go hand in hand in Mexico. The biggest example probably being the Day of the Dead or the Dia de los Muertos. No other Catholic community does this
Day of the
besides
Dead.
Mexicans. Many scholars claim to trace the ofrenda and dead ancestor honoring tradition to the Aztec festival dedicated to the goddess of of the underworld, Mictec and stuff like that. You see a lot of holy water and crosses, but there's always like a touch of that, like, you know, pre-colonial Mexican magic added in there, right, Caesar?
It is. It's exactly right. Sport-wise, soccer
Or football.
is, of course, widely popular. However, not in every region, and many sports are uniquely iconic to Mexico, such as the charreria, which is a kind of like a rodeo, and of course we have the lucha libre. In fact, Mexico has 150 pre-Hispanic games, some still played today, each with the risk of dying from, such as a pelota purepecha, which is like a fire hockey played at night, or pok-tapok, the 4-kilogram heavy rubber ball thing that you have to
4
hit with your
kilograms.
hips and put it through a stone hoop.
Can you imagine hitting anything on your body with a 4-kilogram solid rubber ball? It's like, whoa, I can't believe you guys do that. Mexican history extends millennia prior to any colony, and it would take forever to cover it all.
They cannot
But in the
complain
quickest
if
way
their
we
hips
can
are
condense it, Olmecas,
Teotihuacan, Toltecas, and Mexicas, the Mayans in the Yucatan Peninsula,
the Spanish
No,
arrived,
history and
can't get to
culture.
that one.
Mwah.
colonization, having the Spanish in Mexico for 300 years,
The people all start mixing, mestizos are born,
independence in 1810 led by this guy.
empire led by this Austrian prince guy, he gets killed,
French tried to invade. Yeah, that didn't work out.
Benito Juarez, good president,
Porfirio Diaz, good president at the beginning, but eventually became a dictator.
Civil
Good
War, although
president.
Mexicans
Oh,
usually call it the Mexican
ugh.
Revolution.
Lázaro Cárdenas, the PRI lost for the first time in over 70 years.
Then Mexico's first
No
left-wing
way.
president was elected in, and despite geopolitical turmoil, the economy actually still stays relatively steady and doesn't spike or dip, so that's good. And here we are today.
Some notable people of Mexico or of Mexican descent
Ah, they
may
have luck,
include
you know,
historical
the-
figures like
as long as the
Moctezuma
economy
y
is stable, at
Cuauhtémoc and
least.
Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, José María Morelos,
Josefa Oriste Dominguez, Emiliano Zapata,
Pancho Villa, athletes like
Oscar de la Hoya,
Rafa Márquez and Hugo Sánchez, soccer players,
singers like
Antonio Aguilar,
Jorge Negrete,
Pedro Infante,
Vicente Fernandez,
Luis Miguel,
Juan Gabriel. Oh, and if you ask any like American Mexican, they all love Selena,
actors like
Dolores del Rio,
Maria Felix, Roberto Gómez Bolaños,
and even though she's not Mexican, Lupita
I don't
Nyong'o was
recognize
born in
anyone really,
Mexico,
but-
and you guys love her, right?
we do.
Yeah.
Diego Luna,
Eugenio Derbez,
Salma Hayek,
Gael Garcia Bernal,
Oh,
of course,
yeah,
everybody
know
knows
her.
Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera,
Alejandro González Iñárritu, Alfonso Cuarón, and Guillermo del Toro.
Nobel Prize winners Alfonso Garcia Robles,
Octavio Paz.
and Mario Molina,
Some other notable people may include Carlos Canseco,
and Carlos Simhelu, whose entire net worth was about 7% of Mexico's GDP at one point. Yeah, he had a lot of business in other countries in Latin America and the world. And speaking of relations with other countries, so Mexico
The
is quite the
friend zone.
social butterfly. The monarch social butterfly from Michoacan. First of all, in Asia, the Philippines are another former Spanish colony, and they're kind of like the interesting random Asian cousin that shows up that you didn't realize you had. They generally get along, just not in boxing.
Japan was the first Asian country to come in contact with Latin America, and today they can travel
That's pretty
visa-free.
interesting.
Japan has opened up factories in Mexico and was the first country to respond after the recent earthquake, and Mexico was the first to send aid after the recent tsunami.
In Latin America, most Mexicans might say the countries of the Pacific Alliance, Colombia, Chile, and Peru. These countries have not only had a tied history under Spanish rule and do great business with each other, but they also piggyback off of each other's cultures, and they love watching Mexican TV shows and movies. Mexicans love visiting these places. It's almost like they're just visiting extended family.
In regards to Spain, all the colonial animosity has died down, fortunately. We're cool now with Spanish people, and they love visiting Mexico.
Like we mentioned in the Canada episode, Mexicans have been flocking
that's
to
good to
Canada
hear then.
in recent years after the visa requirements were lifted.
And the Canadian government actually
What?
encourages immigration to help assist the workforce.
Now
Canada
we
are
reach
really
the
nice.
US. I know, you've heard the headlines. It seems kind of complicated, but if we look at the overall scope of diplomacy, despite any political hindrances, the US and Mexico always seem to have an unbreakable bond that still survives.
The US has somewhere around 11 million Mexicans living in it today, which makes up the largest migrant group out of all immigrants. About 80% of Mexico's exports go to the US, and the US makes up about half of Mexico's imports.
They cooperate very closely in international affairs, usually backing up similar Western values that the US stands by, and overall, no matter how crazy things get, they can't help but be there for each other in the end. In conclusion, Caesar, what do you think you would say about Mexico?
Well, it's almost as if the people of Mexico kind of laugh at the face of destruction. We have volcanoes, earthquakes, drama, but we colorfully play and dance with death. It doesn't bother us. If anything, ironically, it fuels us with even more life.
Very well said. Stay tuned. Micronesia, the Federated States of Micronesia, is coming up next.
Viva Mexico!
That's very patriotic. Thank you guys for watching. What I loved about Mexico was the beaches and the fact that they had a really tropical side to the south. I never knew that. I just thought they were arid and desert, but then again, my perception has changed. For those of you new to the channel, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. I post videos up every week. Every week, that's right, every week. For your entertainment. So keep up, and till next time guys, Major out.